special thanks to the electric department this weekend for working overtime and making sure that all of us got our lights back on and all, and I'd like to issue a special thanks to the electric department for doing that. So, thank you. All right, that first thing on our agenda tonight is a presentation from our Public Information Officer update. Tyler.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. So I'm going to try and get through this as fast as possible, so we can have a nice and short meeting. So I put together a presentation kind of summarizing the last 6 months or so of my role here. This is a new role for the town. Corey and I thought it was appropriate to bring this to council to kind of showcase what we've been doing. So we'll take it away. Do I have to? Let's see. Let's try that. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to run over quick typical duties that I would do in this role to kind of get everyone up to speed. So, of course, I do manage our town's social media. That includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They call Twitter X now. I'm not sure who actually calls it X, who calls it Twitter. I still call it Twitter, so I guess that's kind of up to your own purview. I do oversee our publications that go out, relations with the news media, try to keep the public informed, community engagement. I have a pretty good rapport with a lot of our civic groups in town. I am managing our website development currently and will be an administrator on the new website when we launch that. I do manage our advertising and some of the filmmaking efforts that we have ongoing right now. And administrative support whenever Corey and staff at Town Hall do need it, and events on occasion. And of course, I do work alongside all of our departments. So running through social media, we have seen some impressive growth since our hire date. We've grown over 600 followers. We began right around 8,400 when I was brought on. We're currently standing at 9,100. For a town population of 4,400, that's pretty good. That's double our population. We've seen consistent growth on Instagram. On Facebook, I'm pleased to share that we have reached 1.2 million people since April. Compared to the previous time last year, that was only about 165,000 people. So we've grown about tenfold in the amount of people that we've reached. We've had about 46,000 people visit our page since April compared to about 5,000 the same year prior. And I do try to work on combating a lot of the misinformation, rumors that kind of circulate on social media, kind of try to squash that, and emphasizing transparency to let folks know, where their tax dollars are being spent, what we're doing, and keep people up to speed. And that's just kind of an example of the graph as it's gone up to the 1.2 million that we've seen since April 17th. So what gets posted? Particularly on Facebook, we use it for a variety of purposes in addition to customer service, because we do get direct messages from the public on Facebook. Some of the things that can be posted, we have our weather alerts, disaster updates. I do work with the National Weather Service alongside our Emergency Management Director, Cord Palmer, to kind of stay up to date on storms when they come through. Event announcements, FYIs, campaigns, disaster preparedness, anything that we want to educate the public on. Street closures and construction, we were made aware of those. Mass notices. Employee recognition, which has become a big one lately, and of course office closures. And our trash pickup schedule changes, which we do get asked about quite a bit. And that's an example of one of the messages that we would receive on Facebook. Someone asked us if there were any changes to Friday's garbage pickup due to the holiday weekend. I sent them one of the graphics and said, check our page, here's a hard copy, and satisfied customer. So just here are a few examples of what we shared on Facebook. We had a hiring post for Public Works. And David Myers told us that after this was posted, he received more applications in 2 weeks than they had in the previous 2 years. So that was a big boost, and I do now believe they are fully staffed. When we postpone our council meetings due to inclement weather, when we have weather alerts, that was a severe thunderstorm warning, we try to post them in both English and Spanish for our Spanish-speaking community. That was the update for this weekend for the tropical storm as it was approaching the coast. And of course, I do road closure notices. That was for graduation back in June. Just a few more. When we announced the Bass Pro Tour, the announcement of recycling returning, Independence Day, offices closed. Our Public Power Week is coming up. I did the flyer for that. Street paving, that's been a big one. People always want to know when their street's being paved. When's Public Works going to be out there? When's a contractor going to be there? We try to keep people updated street by street as we go. And I do believe we just wrapped up, David told me today, with all of our street paving. Outages. I know the electric department works hard, and we had an outage. I think it was back-to-back outages in Village Creek. I tried to let people know that we were working on it. I came back around and told people there was another outage. We're back out there to address the issue. This was some of the improvements we did over at Paxton Lane Park and MLK Ave. just to let the public know that we were doing something in regards to park improvements. We're getting the ball rolling. The forestry mulcher was out there kind of clearing the space in between the trees. People were very receptive of it. It had over 100 likes. And this past weekend, I want to give a lot of credit to Hunter and his team. They were fantastic. I worked closely with him and Brent, who were on shift at the time, to kind of keep the public updated on our power outages over the weekend. They kind of came in real time, and I sort of updated, as you see, with the times. Everything from down in Cape Colony over here to Westover, we had outages for over 3 days, and I just let the public know when that power was going off, when our crews were going out, and when that was restored. And the public received it very well. So, why do the Facebook metrics matter? We've had between about 500 to 1,000 Facebook posts since I was hired. Facebook doesn't give you the exact number. We have an average messaging response rate of about 69 minutes. One of our posts, this one, which congratulated Chris McNeil on his promotion to sanitation supervisor, reached 600,000 people. We just kind of tapped into that Facebook algorithm the right way, and it reached people as far away as India. We were getting comments from South Africa, from India, congratulating Chris McNeil on his promotion. So we like that recognition. And that's the increased visibility and increased spotlight for Edenton on a national and even a global scale. So that does help our friends in tourism and economic development say, hey, I like what they're doing in Edenton. Let's pay them a visit. So dedicated management of our social media, regardless of if you use it or not, yields better results and a more informed population. Just some brief examples of Instagram. I'll kind of run through this pretty quick. One of the first things I did was I was with the mayor, and we went to the Barker House when the descendants of the Declaration signers came. I took some photos of him meeting with some of the folks there. I shared it with the Barker House. They posted it, and we sort of reshared that for people to see kind of a community collaboration there. Again, severe weather alerts. This was a notice when people were asking about all the bucket trucks around town for the broadband being installed. People were always asking, what are they doing? What are they doing? So I shared that to let people know, hey, we're installing broadband, kind of just be mindful of the trucks as they're in the neighborhoods. We do monitor the tide gauge at the waterfront for any flooding when storms come through. This was a good one. When the Patience Lawrence Memorial was dedicated, I believe we had a few councilmen out there. We shared that on Instagram for people. That was pretty popular. People kind of like that community engagement. The fire department, they went out to Shepherd Pruden, the library. A lot of the guys were out there. So I kind of stopped by, took a few pictures of them interacting with the kids. And this one was, I think, a few weeks ago. Public Works, we had a closure on Queen Street for a customer's water line broke, and they were out there until almost midnight. So I was kind of up getting those updates from David as they were coming in, and I was kind of relaying that in real time to the public, as we went into the wee hours of the morning. I do work a lot with the police department, and I wanted to emphasize this. I've kind of helped redesign their Facebook presence, particularly for their posters, some of their press releases. I've started forwarding some of their materials to the TV news media, and I've formed new contact lists to reach a lot of them. I've designed maps for their events like the 4th of July, graduation. I do work closely with Chief King to relay that information. We have an open line of communication. My role allows these leaders to kind of lead and manage the situations and do what they're best at while I sort of handle communicating with the public and relaying that critical stuff. And I do sometimes work with Cord Palmer, who is our emergency management coordinator. If we have a big hurricane come through, we would meet and make sure that town and county messaging is unified. So here's an example of our refresh redesign. This was our original template, and I sort of brought the new template up. I made the colors pop a little bit more. I added the town seal. This is just one example. We put up many of these. I'm sure many of you have seen them on social media in the past. Kind of just a refresh design, made sure that our links were in there, the name of the chief was in there, just something new for people to see that was a little bit more readable. Again, we do maps, scam alerts, overpaid utility bills, in quotes, and things that people would call about that's not true. And we also bring in media coverage. As you can see, these are stories that have been featured on our local TV news channels because we've sort of sent them out and shared it with them. It gets the message out. It gets the word out that, we have a missing woman, someone tried to break into an ATM. It gets more eyes on the story. Recognizing employees has really been one of my favorite parts of doing this so far. We do recognize employees on social media for good work, promotions. We do retirement interviews. And recently we've started employee spotlights. This first one was a retirement interview I did with Clarence Rankins and Bobby White when they retired from Public Works. Between them, of course, they have about 50 years of experience. They were huge assets to the town. I sat down with both of them. I kind of asked them about their career. And we put something out on Facebook. It was very well received. People loved it. And, these guys were superstars. Our employee spotlight has also kind of taken off. This was something that we just started a few weeks ago. We're rotating between departments each week. We started with Public Works, Electric, Police, Fire. This week is Town Hall, and then we'll kind of cycle back around. Public Works, I believe, has the most employees, so they would be featured the most in the long run because they just have the most guys over there. Publications, I do design our town newsletter each quarter, which comes out August, November, February, May. It reaches approximately 4,000 households, flyers and posters. I do assist Corey with putting together the weekly managers reports, meeting summaries for social media, kind of in that plain language term so folks understand the context behind what's voted on. Our utility assistance flyers, recycling bin sign-up forms, promotional materials for recycling, which includes our door hangers, our cart tags, flyers, and mailers. The street signage for our social district, which has recently gone up today on Broad Street. The signs are up and posted on lampposts. And I'm working on an updated church directory because I feel that reaching out to folks that go to church is a really good way to get those people that aren't on social media. And if you can get to the churches, you can get to like far more people. That's an example of one of the publications was the announcement of the social district and the map involved. Again, these are just some publications. This was the original update, the first one that I worked on with the last design. This is a new one that just went out. And Tam, if you don't mind just passing that around, if everyone just wants to look at it. It does go to every household, but if everyone just wants to take a brief glance, it is front and back. It includes items that affect you, which I think some people do appreciate, kind of knowing what's going on. News, on the back side, it has events, things of that nature. That announced that recycling was returning. It also manages our social media as well. Other publications include our utility assistance flyer. This was in English and in Spanish. The recycling bin interest form, the meeting summary for council meetings that does go online to social media, and then the manager's reports that I do assist Corey with putting together. Events, I do assist with coordinating some events that we do every now and then. I can act as an event photographer for town events. Some of the examples include the ice cream event that Councilman Costin and I helped kind of put together. This public service camps that Corey and I worked hard on, we thought that was a great success. The tree Arbor Day planning for the tree committee, I went out and took some photos of that. The memorial unveiling over at the Providence Burial Ground. The 75th anniversary of the DAR. I was there and I brought the mayor's proclamation. I understand there were some conflicts at that time, so other people couldn't be there. So I went and represented us for that event. The descendants of the Declaration signers, we had a welcome event at the Barker House. The mayor and I attended that. And I'm assisting with the 250th anniversary of the Edenton Tea Party's planning with the folks at the Barker House. And again, these are some photos of our events. This was the public service camps. This is when they were the EMS. There we go. Scoops and Hoops when we were handing out the free ice cream to the kids for taking our park survey. Representing the town at the DAR 75th anniversary. I like that photo. Councilman High is playing basketball with Zion. I thought that was a great photo at one of the events. And then the event there with 3 of our councilmen when the truck first showed up, and we were starting to hand out that ice cream at that event. Surveys. I do publicize surveys for the town. We've done 2 so far. The social district from June to July, the neighborhood parks from June to August. We received over 1,000 responses combined with both of them. We use the website, downtown flyers, social media, the chamber blast. In the future, we may utilize utility billing because that does reach a vast number of households. For folks who aren't online, we have heard some of that feedback that, hey, we didn't know this was going on. We can see if we can send that out to our households, and that will be up to them to participate. And that was an example of one of the flyers that you would see in, Blunt, Surf, Wind, and Fire, things like that. And these are the kids taking the survey, the park survey, during that ice cream event. We had the iPads on site. So moving into filmmaking, we're near the end now. We occasionally use video to share things with the public. That's kind of growing. Examples being the employee social we had on the courthouse green, the summary video of the summer camp for our kids. I did have an interview with Corey, and I used footage from the camps to kind of put together like a short film to sort of recap that. I'm working on short videos to promote recycling once it returns. And this is something that I have not announced to the public yet. I'd like to sometime this week, but I wanted to show it to council first. Is that I am working on a sort of a special short documentary film for the community in recognition of the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Isabel. So I've been kind of bringing folks out, who were active at that time, sitting them down for interviews. We're kind of putting something together. We may premiere something at the library. We haven't fully decided yet, but we think it's kind of a good way to give back to the community after 20 years. Website redevelopment. I am the main point of contact and project manager for the town side of our website redesign. This is a 6-month process so far. I've been working alongside 3 different teams to build the website. We're overhauling it completely and moving it to a new platform. We're shifting from a .com to a .gov. More online forms will be featured for ease of access and less paper. We're building a brand new 311 citizen reporting system from Public Works. So essentially you would go in, there's a map of town, you would pinpoint where a pothole is, it sends it to David directly. And that would be a way to where it avoids a lot of inundating phone calls to Christy and David at Public Works. Folks can just go online and do it just like that. be easier to navigate, cleaner, hopefully more aesthetically pleasing. New department pages, council meeting videos could be built in, organized agendas, committee and board pages, bids and RFP page, a lot of that stuff. And then we'll have a new news page for our press releases and announcements, a municipal calendar for waste pickup schedules, office closures, board meetings, clean sweep days, things like that. It would be sort of like a town municipal calendar. And I would like to show the homepage to council. We're still working on it, but I wanted to go ahead and show it now. So this is how it's going to look when it's redesigned. We're going to have a space at the top for photos. This is a local photographer, Sam Harding, did this photo. I reached out to him and asked if he'd be willing to lend some of these photos. I want to make sure we have local photographers who are giving us those photos. We can give them a shout out on the photo itself. We have about 7 different buttons that can be changed at any time, whether we want to post job postings, online utility payments, trash and recycling, etc. All of our links at the top for our government departments, etc., have the teapot logo, our news section, and then the calendar. It will be scrollable. It's not just fixed, but this is sort of what we're working with right now, and we're just building out the rest from here. And then sort of wrapping it up, I'm developing some policies. I did put together the first thorough and comprehensive social media policy that is kind of relevant for our times. It is all encompassing. It does include employee conduct. I consulted with Corey on that, and a news media policy. It does designate the PIO as the primary media contact and spokesperson for the town on behalf of the town manager. This policy will be coming up on the agenda for approval. And then, of course, I'm currently reviewing the website policy for updates. I believe it was last updated in 2004, I think is what Tammy had told me. So we're kind of working on bringing that up to speed with a new website as well. Building relationships with the news media. I do have formed press lists for the TV, newsprint, and radio in case of emergencies. Have made contact with several reporters up in Norfolk about covering stories down here. I do frequently share events and press releases with Vernon Houston and the Chowan Herald, and I try to be available whenever I can to speak with them and answer questions. Previous experience at the Chowan Herald myself, I feel it kind of helps understanding the field and sort of what they ask for, what they desire from us. The same for the writing style for press releases, and I have developed an official press release template for the town if we ever need to use that. Anything that I've learned in sort of training, I took emergency management training. That was a 2-day class in Winston-Salem. Court Palmer had sent me to that one. That teaches just basic crisis emergency management, the incident command structure, and speaking to TV reporters on the fly. And then we just did a class in August for all of our town employees. We have different departments that came out in August. Chief King brought one of his contacts, who's a crisis communications professional here. He was a former NYPD officer. He taught a 3-day course. 2 days were for our employees, and then the final day was one-on-one. I was with him. Any room to grow, improvements, our survey outreach, how do we reach more people without social media or web access. We can utilize the newspaper, our utility mailers, door hangers, things like that. Attracting the press for more positive stories. Typically the TV press does focus more on crime and more negative stories. There's a phrase called, if it bleeds, it leads. So sometimes we have to sort of subvert that narrative and kind of figure out how to promote things that are positive, excuse me, that we're doing here. How to entice. Using more short videos as engaging ways to share information. Reaching younger audiences, growing the Edenton Fire Department Facebook. That is our newest Facebook page, and I think there's tons of room to grow, and I'm glad that Chief is here because I think there's plenty of opportunities there. I believe they've given control of it to one of our firemen. I think he's doing a great job, and I think there's always room to grow. And of course, join our NC City and County communicators for annual conferences and training. Wrapping up. Anyone have any questions?
When do you sleep?
That's actually a very good question.
When do you get rest?
About average 5 or 6 hours of sleep.
It's amazing. Responsibilities.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
What do you think? You made a transition from sitting behind a table like Vernon is to standing up here making a presentation. How do you feel about that experience? Has it been a rewarding one, a learning one? What do you think?
I think so. I think it has been. Interacting with the community on a more personal level and making sure that they're informed. I think a more informed populace, they're better educated, and they're more willing to participate in government, things like this. I think it's very important. And I think the feedback from the citizens has been fairly positive for what we're doing, so I'm thankful for that.
Of all your responsibilities, what's your favorite? What do you feel the most comfortable with?
Oh, that's a good one. I like doing all of it. The employee recognitions, I really like doing that. The employee spotlight has been, I've kind of taken that away. I really love doing that. And kind of getting to know each of our employees on a personal level, asking them questions, and then people's reactions to it are the best part.
Tyler, I don't have any questions. I'd like to compliment and thank you. And three areas stand out to me. Number one, this past weekend, I enjoyed following all of the town sites and getting real-time information about power outages and standing water and such.
Right.
Very impressed with that and very useful. Also, your meeting summaries are concise and well-written, and as you mentioned, easy to understand. And then also, I think one valuable thing, extremely valuable thing that you are doing for us is we've always been haunted by misinformation out there on social media, and I have noticed that when you see misinformation out there, you correct the people in a very diplomatic way, but set them straight at the same time on what the true facts are. And that's invaluable to helping us do our job. And
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman.
As a follow-up to what Hack was saying, on Facebook, if you noticed, the segment is called Connect Edenton. It seems like some of our citizens are using that to ask town questions
Right.
when it's not really the purpose of that. Have you
Right.
noticed that?
And I am a member of that group.
Okay.
On my personal page. I've just made it a habit not to comment because that is a private group. I know the town page itself cannot become a member of that group. I've tried
Okay.
looking into that. It just doesn't work that way. But I'm aware of that, and sometimes if there are any issues that arise that maybe we need to reach out to some folks and say, hey, maybe you got this wrong, I do monitor that group regularly.
Gotcha.
Simon, I just want to congratulate you on a fantastic job that you're doing.
Thank you.
You got off the ground running. A lot of information is being given to our community.
Yes,
We appreciate that.
that is a goal. Thank you, Councilman.
I'll echo that, I think you've done a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. All good?
Anybody else? Okay. Tyler, thank you very much. You did a great job, and you're doing a great job, and we thank you for that, and we're very happy to have you on board. So
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for your support.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is a resolution for fall 2023 funding for Virginia well replacement. Corey, I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. The resolution that was included in your packet, if you paid close attention to that, and thank you, Councilman High, for noticing that. I did send a revised update to the group as well as our agenda recipients and folks here within the town to show that revision. That was simply an oversight on my part. That was corrected. The Public Works Director and myself are requesting that the town of Edenton pursue funding for one additional well site for the town's water system. The resolution presented will acknowledge the town's interest to construct, plan for, and conduct a study for a project of constructing a new well site to replace the existing Virginia Road location. This project is necessary for the long-term viability of the town's water system for two main reasons. One, the Virginia Road well site was significantly impacted during the water treatment plant phase 2 project, which included well rehabilitation. And during that process, the well site actually lost close to 70% of its actual drawdown capability. And in addition to that, the remaining 3 wells that the town have are anywhere between 40 and 60 years old. So we're really trying to build our inventory on well locations to really give those a break and also help us to improve with water quality. If you remember, back in the spring of this year, we were awarded, or it may have been the spring of 22, we were awarded 2 new well sites. And at that time, the project there was really geared for water quality. And then since that time, when the well rehab was finished and the Virginia Road site became really inundated with the ability to not perform. We went from 500 gallons a minute being able to produce from that site to less than 150. So for us, we do think that it's a long-term improvement that the town needs to consider, and this resolution would allow us to submit the appropriate application and technical documents to the Division of Water Infrastructure to go after grant and/or loan funding for this project.
Yeah.
And we do recommend that council approve the revised resolution that was sent out to the group.
Corey, is this a new well or a repairing of the old well?
So this project would be a decommissioning of that location.
Okay.
And we would actually find a new well site to replace it.
Okay.
When we talk about the infrastructure that's there, there would be some piping that gets the existing well back to the Freemason plant that would be reused to avoid any type of damages to the roadways there along Granville Street. But as far as the wellhead itself, it would be decommissioned and closed.
Okay. Okay.
And Virginia Road is our oldest well site in town of the 4 that we have now.
Does that free up that land for any other use if that well is not there?
That would be some conversations we would have with the state to find out timing of how long that location would need to be dormant.
Okay.
If you know, there is a small parcel of land there that the town owns that's basically the physical structure of the building, and the surrounding property is one larger parcel that is county owned. So we would have some conversations with the county about their intended use or needs for that site after decommissioning.
Is that in front of the agriculture building where the
Yes.
old hospital used to be?
Yes, that's correct.
Where exactly is that?
In front of the Recreation Department and the Ag Extension offices there on Virginia Road in Granville.
There's a little brick building there.
And
Where
the
the old
building-
nursing home used to be in that area. Before, well, actually, the nursing home followed the old hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, action is required on that, so at this time,
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next one is the first alternate commissioner. The town of Edenton is a member of the North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Association. Because the town of Edenton owns and operates its own electric distribution system, and each of the municipal members of the distribution center has a primary commissioner that is appointed to the Board of Commissioners and may have up to 2 alternates in the case of their absence. Currently, the primary commissioner is the town manager, Corey Gooden, and there is not an alternate due to the retirement of former electric director. And Hunter Chamberlain has been leading the electric department since Mike's retirement, and it's well qualified to represent the town of Eden on the board. And the NCEMPA oath is included in the packet, and Hunter's appointment will need to be voted upon and recorded for the town of Eden's council. The town manager, Corey Gooden, recommends that the council appoint Hunter Chamberlain as the first alternate.
And Mayor, in addition to the formal vote for appointment on this board, I have included an oath. Hunter Chamberlain is here with us tonight, the interim electric director for our electric department. And part of this process also would be to go through this oath with him.
Okay.
I would move that we appoint and name Hunter Chamberlain, our alternate commissioner, to the NCEMPA, and that he be requested to take the oath.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And Hunter, if you will come forward, we will swear you in or whatever.
Come right here, Mayor.
Okay. Just repeat after me.
Yes, sir.
I, Hunter Chamberlain,
I, Hunter Chamberlain,
do solemnly swear that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States.
Slow it down, Jim.
Yeah.
Break it out
You gotta
slow.
break that up just a little bit more.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and maintain
That I will solemnly swear that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and the laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully and impartially execute
and that I will faithfully and impartially execute
and discharge the duties of my office
and discharge the duties of my office
as first alternate commissioner of North Carolina,
as first alternate commissioner of North Carolina,
Eastern Municipal Power Agency,
Eastern Municipal Power Agency,
and that I will adhere to and abide by
and that I will adhere to and abide by
the Electric City's ethical and professional code of conduct.
the Electric City's ethical and, professional code of conduct.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay? I'm
Did
sorry.
good.
No,
I-
you're fine. Great job.
Okay, so that's over with.
I love it.
Okay, the next is a budget amendment. Well, I thought we took care of that in,
Yeah, that was that. This is just I'm gonna make a formal announcement.
okay, our first alternate rate committee, Corey Gooden, you'll take that?
Thank you, Mayor. In addition to the Board of Commissioners that the North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Association has, there is also a first alternate for the Rate Committee. The Rate Committee provides recommendations to the Board of Commissioners on any rate adjustments and how each of the individual towns as well as the group should schedule their structure of rates. No action is required of this, Mayor, but in similar interest of the first alternate for the commissioner position to the Board of Commissioners, I would also like to share with the council that because of Hunter's outstanding job in the last few months filling in as the interim director, that I would also be making a recommendation to the association that we would include him as the first alternate for the rate committee as well. Council does not have to take any action, but I did want to acknowledge to the board that I would be making that recommendation on his behalf as well.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for
Sounds like
keeping
that,
it straight.
The interim may become permanent pretty soon.
We'll probably have some more conversations about that this week.
Corey, as you know, I know you're the man with this board, but when you go to the board meetings, will you take the first alternate with you? Will you do it together?
Hunter has attended a couple of the meetings with me up until this point to show him how each of the Board of Commission and the Rate Committee function. We will attend some of these together.
Okay.
So we both stay informed in either absence. The other individual would still attend on a regular basis. And we do meet monthly. This is in Wilson. And so sometimes it is a big commitment for myself to make that.
Any further questions? Okay, the next is a budget amendment for runway 1-19 for lighting rehab. And Corey, that's yours as well.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a budget amendment to accept the grant funding from the State Department of Aviation, which totals $37,970. This budget amendment is additional funds for the administration to revise, keyword, design, permitting, and bid fees proposed for the lighting on runways 119 by our engineering firm Talbot and Bright. If you remember earlier this calendar year, we had approved the budget amendment when the lighting and resurfacing were combined. Since that time, those two projects have been split apart, and as a part of that formality is, since they're separate, that the budget amendments represent that separation. This work we will We will do our bid advertisement and discussions tomorrow at 1 o'clock with the Northeastern Regional Airport, and its board will be there as well. And we are hoping to start this project late October with the intentions of at least the initial lighting to be completed by mid to late February of calendar year 24. And I do recommend that council approve the amendment as presented.
And this is action required, so I will entertain a
I
motion.
make a motion to approve the
Okay.
budget amendment for the lighting.
We'll have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we'll move into our committee meetings, and the first one is the Administrative Committee, and that's chaired by Councilman Hyde.
Thank you very much, Mayor Stallings. We have two items that we need to report on tonight. The first is an employee certification table agenda item. Over the last few months, our administration asked our department heads to review and update training certification tables in the existing employee policies. The review was needed so that the town continues to be up to date on training opportunities for all of our employees. The last time we took a look at this was back in 2017, so it's definitely time for us to take a look at it again. As a part of the review, Corey and Tammy Woodley recommended that we expand our training opportunities to include annual continuing education and also a modified merit system for classes for employees that do go over and beyond in terms of their continuing education on these. The new recommendations that have been made to us from Town Manager Corey Gooden and also Tammy Woodley include three different levels. Level 1 is a continuing education level where all employees would be required to complete a minimum of 6 hours of continuing education per calendar year, beginning January 1st and ending December 31st. Those include, but are not limited to, Town of Edenton Lunch and Learn events and any department-approved continuing education classes. Level 2 would be intermediate training certifications, and that structure would associate training opportunities approved by the department head by the number of hours and the respective merit increase. The merit increases that are recommended are that a one-day course would earn a one-time bonus of $300. A two-day course would earn a one-time bonus of $500. A three-day course would earn an incentive of a 1.5% increase, and if it was a 4 or 5 day course, that would merit a 2.5% to 5% increase. And then finally, a level 3 class would be individual lists for each department. Tammy and Corey recommend that full council consider these revisions in the town's employee certification requirements, and that this be sent to full council for a formal vote. I didn't know if anybody had any comment on that. The administrative committee would recommend that it go to a full vote and full consideration before council at our next regular meeting in October, and that would give us time to take a closer look at it. And if you have any questions, I encourage you to reach out to Corey between now and then so that we would have this proposal in a good spot to vote on it. So with that, I'd put it in form of a motion that we move it forward to full council.
Is this to motivate employees to actually get involved in training? And
Yes.
okay.
I have a quick question. Are they required, our employees are required to pay for the training, or is that something that we cover?
No, this is at the town's cost.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move that forward to our regular meeting. The next item is timely, particularly in light of Tyler's presentation tonight as Public Information Officer. One of the many things that Tyler has done for us is taken a look at formulating a social media and news media policy, and he has done so and worked with Corey on having a new social media and news media policy. That was forwarded to us as a part of our meeting packet. And Corey and Tyler both recommend that the policy be sent to full council for vote in October. Certainly something that we need, certainly something that is timely, and given the prevalence and use of social media in today's world, and also increased scrutiny from the news media, we certainly need something like this in place. Much like agenda item 1, I would just ask that this move forward to full council, and that each council member take a close look at the policy and let Tyler and Corey know if you have any questions, again, so that we can be in a good position next month to hopefully approve this.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Hyde.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate that. All right, the next is the Finance Committee, and that's chaired by Councilman Dixon.
We have one thing on tonight. Virginia did a great job in requesting proposals for a loan for a Altec digger derrick backyard machine.
You nailed that.
We like to
And the two proposals were from Southern Bank and from Truist. Truist had the best proposal with an interest rate of 5.38, which will save us about $2,600 over the life of the loan. Then it'll be set to be approved at our next meeting. So I would say we just need to go ahead and send that to the full council in October. And basically, if you have any questions about what a Altec digger derrick backyard machine,
Maybe we can bring a picture of it. Yeah.
Can we have a picture at our next meeting?
We can do that. If you may or may not remember, some documentation from the company was provided in the budget packet that we did back in mid to late June for this upcoming year. This will not require a budget amendment. The revenue was intended to be a loan and the expense to match that same dollar amount. We had particularly requested this current fiscal year. If you know, we have been very active in updating our equipment needs for most of our own road situations, and if you've seen the results of that this weekend, where these bucket trucks are able to easily access things from the roadway. Well, one of the things that the electric department struggles with, and while this is important, a lot of the electric system is fed from the rear homes through alleyways. A lot of these alleyways over time have become smaller. There has been encroachments or fences or pools or things that may be in these areas. And what's unique about this piece of equipment, very similar to a bucket truck, being able to carry a utility pole, a transformer, a guy or gal to be in the bucket to actually make additions to the system, is this unit is actually small enough to fit through a 36-inch rear gate on a property. So when we think about areas similar to Johnston, Cabarrus, Bond, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, where alleyways are used here in town, when we think about our Westover neighborhood, particularly along Queen Street, and then with some of our county customers out in the Cape Colony area, a lot of the electric is fed through the rear. And so we really need a lot smaller footprint than a 9-foot wide truck trying to get through something that's rarely used. This is a machine that's on track. It's not invasive at all, but it still has the full range of capabilities to perform any electrical installation up to 45 feet.
Well, they told us you could do a 60 if you were right at the bottom of it, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah. So this will give us a full range of equipment to access very limited and confined areas and to still perform. So we're hoping this will greatly improve the efficiency of response times.
what's the useful life?
Hunter, any?
15 years?
Absolutely. It's not something that's going to be used every day. It's something that, we'll probably use it in those dire emergencies when a place like Cabarrus, those transformers and poles back there haven't been dealt with for 40 plus years because they've just been hidden there, and the infrastructure's been built around them. So we're hoping that we can get this, change that stuff out, and get things that have been neglected and bring them back up to the way they should
very proud of Hunter, in addition to the Board of Commissioners and the rate committee appointments that we have tonight, but having the foresight to include this in the very early stages of a new transition to the director position and to budget for this fiscal year. So thank you, Hunter, for that, in addition to many other things.
Thank you. So Samuel, I'm assuming you want to send that forward?
Yes, send it on full council.
Okay. All right, and that concludes our program for tonight. If anybody else has anything else to bring up, if not, we're dismissed.